Hi, I'm Marcelle Joseph. I'm an independent curator and collector. I'm based in the UK, but I'm originally from America.
And we're here in your newly renovated home. How did you approach curating the space as both a collector and a curator?
Yeah, so I approach curating the collection at home just like I would approach curating an exhibition. I like to create interesting dialogues between artworks by different artists. So just by changing the artwork next to it, you can change the entire conversation. Here we have, maybe I'll talk about this work here because it's quite new to the collection. This small work here is a work by the Turner Prize nominee Rini Matic. It comes from her last solo show at Arcadia Mimosa, which is one of my favorite galleries in London. One of the reasons why I was attracted to it is that it quotes an earlier feminist artist, Carrie Mae Weems, and she had this series in the 90s called At the Kitchen Table. So she was raising this, classic feminine space into a site of importance. And Carrie Mae Weems was really important for feminism as well because she was exploring Black womanhood. And now Rini is quoting from Carrie Mae Weems, but putting her own sort of style on it because she's talking more about queer personhood instead of Black womanhood. And here it's not the artist herself, but one of her friends, which she often does. So that's, one of the reasons why I was attracted to Rini's work. And I have it cited alongside this edition by Penny Slinger. It's called The Opening of the Rose. It was work that she did back in 1970. So she's an important British feminist artist. And here you have the artist naked, dressed up with a bridal veil, and she becomes this wedding cake. So she had her own invented genre that she called feminist surrealism. And I've worked with her in a solo show here and visited her in her studio in LA and have known her for a while. So although it's just a limited edition print, I wanted to have this very classic feminist work. And it's really nice to have these two next to each other because it's sort of a feminine, queer femme conversation across time, 2025, 1973. And maybe I'll talk about a few other artworks in the room.
Yes.
And then in terms of artists to watch, I wanted to point out this work here. She's a very young artist called Joanna von Sun. I love it because she creates these really thickly imposted surfaces, and I love how she uses her new wife as her muse in almost all of her works. So she's my female Frank Auerbach in the collection.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so definitely watch out for her.
The marks.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So you came to collecting after a career in law. What brought you to collecting in such a considered way?
So I was a corporate lawyer for over a decade, both in New York and London. And then I did a lot of soul searching about what I wanted to do next. So I launched in 2011 Marcelle Joseph Project, which is a nomadic curatorial platform. Now fast forward to today, I've curated over 50 exhibitions featuring over 400 artists, and the collecting kind of grew out of that. In terms of the collecting focus and how I made it more thoughtful, that took time. Yeah, I honed my eye over several years and then really wanted to start focusing on collecting the work of female queer artists. And I also really wanted to support artists at a time in their career that meant the most to them, at the very beginnings of their career. So here you have two sculptures this is by Rebecca Ackroyd. The one behind you is by Kira Frazier. They were both bought at their degree shows at the RA schools, where I've been a patron and an ambassador there for over a decade. This work here is called The Argument, and it has a nice anecdote attached to it. So it's the work in my collection that my family hates the most. But what's interesting, going back to the anecdote, is that guess which artwork my kids would show their friends and talk about the most when they had play dates?
This one at the end.
This work. So really, it's the artwork that they're attracted to the most, I would say.
So when you acquire work, what are you responding to? Is it instinct or research?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm seeing artwork all the time at commercial galleries, museums, art fairs. If I see artwork that I like and I don't know the artist yet, I go home and do research. I, look on the internet, maybe thinking about it several days later or even a week later. If I'm going to bed and waking up in the morning and I'm still thinking about it, then I'll press the button. This artwork is an interesting example. It's a mosaic sculpture by a Hungarian artist, Zsófia Karastides. I mean, I've had it for quite a while, but I saw it on the artist's Instagram. I saw it at a group show in Berlin that was like curated at some like artist-run space, quite random. I knew the artist gallery in Vienna, and I reached out to them and asked whether it was still available, and it was, and I bought the work. So yeah, and then maybe I'll talk about this crazy work here. This is by the British artist Lindsay Mendick. I'm one of her very first collectors from while she was still a student at the Royal College. And then I curated an exhibition at the Hanna-Barbera Gallery in London in 2018, I think. It was called Prouddick, and it was a collaborative show between Lindsay Mendick and Paloma Proudfoot. Paloma's her best friend, fellow British ceramic sculptor. And after that show, as a thank you, she gifted me this work that was from another show. And Lindsay always has turquoise hair. This is kind of like her effigy. And the work was a part of this exhibition in Brussels and London that was about the things you do at the end of the night when you're drunk.
Yeah.
So you have these, it's kind of hard to see, but you have these keys and credit cards hanging from it. So it's things you would lose at the end of the night.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so you see the credit card. So it's very funny because Lindsay's work is all about her own autobiography and suffering with anxiety and doing kind of crazy things.
Makes you want to pet it.
Yeah.
It's a nice tactile nature about it.
Mm.
So your Girl Power collection focuses on female identifying artists. What drives that focus for you?
Yeah, so I collected two different strands. I have my own personal collection, Marcelle Joseph collection, which has about 350 artworks. And the Girl Power collection has about 50, so it's much smaller. It was set up in 2012 as a collecting partnership with my friend Kimberly Morris, who wanted to get into collecting at that time, but didn't know how. So we came up with this idea of 50-50. We'd each have to agree to buy the work, and then we split the cost 50-50. And the reason why we wanted to focus on female identifying artists is that we were both professional women. She was trained as a lawyer too, and we wanted to reflect our own lived experience and subjectivity as women in the world. So we decided to focus on women artists and in particular early career artists. So here's an example of a work that we acquired back in 2015 by the British artist Samara Scott. But she takes these lowly everyday materials like toothpaste, yogurt, items that she would buy in Poundland, and using household paint, she's turned this into a beautiful painting. So this is an early work by Zadie Cha, London-based artist. She sort of channels her own identity as a first-generation Canadian citizen and a member of the Korean diaspora. And this is an important work for her because it's a prototype for her first ever performance at Serpentine Gallery, where she had a number of Korean dancers dressed in these costumes. So here you see her, channeling her Korean identity with the yin and the yang symbol. You have these almond-shaped eyes, and you also have, I think you have these daggers, like right here, these daggers that would be used in traditional Korean dance. So this is another early work that was collected by the Girl Power collection.
Great. And so what advice would you give someone starting a collection, and what makes a strong first acquisition?
So I think the first step would be see as much art as possible, like I do. Go to the exhibitions at galleries and museums, go to art fairs if you can, and really sort of hone your eye. So the second step is kind of understand what you like and why. I think it's really important to try to establish as early on as possible some sort of focus or philosophy for your collection. Do your research on the artist, but really just find out what resonates with you and why. I think for a strong first acquisition would be a work that resonates with you and you kind of know why it resonates with you. We're standing in front of this painting here by Sean McDowell, and he was the first artist whose work I bought back in 2010.
Yeah.
It wasn't this work, but it was a smaller one. But yeah, so find out what you like, craft a story, and go for it.